Our final segment today is the first time for us to welcome on a collab as we welcome in Joey Erickson, who is the host of the Locked On Stars podcast. Hi, Joey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you doing? I'll be honest. I'll admit I'm running on fumes a bit here on a Monday. It was a long weekend, but happy to be on and chop it up with you fellas.
Well, Luddy never sleeps. Sam is sick all the time.
Yeah.
And I have to get up early with the kids, so late night Stars games and sleep is not working very well. So I'm going to try to have discipline, guys, to actually go to bed at a reasonable time tonight. Will I? I think Sam would pick the less than on sleeper.
Absolutely.
So, Joey, we were just talking in our middle segments about, it's a third of the way through the season already, which is a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
How do you feel the Stars are from your perspective? Where are they at with 2/3 still to go?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. I'll say first off, I think the Stars have been a bit inconsistent this season. They don't necessarily play well from behind. I don't know if a lot of teams do, but I think I read the other day they only have a couple of wins come from behind victories. They're getting some spotty goaltending here and there. I think Jake Oettinger's been really, really good. However, for a large part of this season, I just think the Stars need some of their stars to step up a bit more. I know Jason Robertson's getting a lot of talk here recently, and I've had my fair share of criticisms on Robo, but he looked really good the other night against Calgary. Hopefully that's a positive sign. I feel like the optimist in me, though, is really, really bullish on the Stars' chances, because I really believe that the Stars are going to look a lot different come playoff time. And that's where I believe if the Stars can just get in, they have the roster they constructed, they can do some damage, because it feels like the West is pretty wide open. And I know Minnesota's off to a heck of a start, and Winnipeg looked unbeatable for the first month and a half of the season. But I really feel like I would put the Stars up against any of those teams in a 7-game series if they have the roster they want. I think General Manager Jim Nill is in silence right now. He's gonna make some moves and get this roster to look like how he wants, and I think he expects in a Stanley Cup champion. But for as all the criticism and inconsistencies they've had, it's like, well, man, they're still in a really good spot. They're 9th in the league. I mean, just wait till Robertson and Johnston and these guys really start to roll. It feels like they could do a lot of damage.
Letty, that's an interesting thing that Joey brings up, because immediately when he talks about a different looking team come playoff time, I think of the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks, because after they won a Stanley Cup, they didn't have to win the division. They could turn it on later in the year. The Tampa Bay Lightning did the same thing, showing, hey, don't count us out. We don't have to be the number 1 overall seed to be a problem in the playoff time. Your guys, your team back in the 90s you did win the President's Trophy, but you didn't have to be dangerous. But at the same time, being a veteran group, it doesn't mean it's so easy just to switch it on and go. You do have to get yourself going at some point.
Right. And you have, but in that veteran group, there were a lot of leaders, and not just guys that, wearing the A's. And so what you have is you have guys that have different ways to motivate the group, because wherever they were prior to that, they were those guys. And so now all of a sudden we had a collection of guys that had to motivate different groups. And so you're able to kind of pull guys along, at different times. And so I just wonder, Joey, like, for when you say make some moves or may not have a different team, are you thinking that there may be a Chris Tanev kind of move that rolls down the line? Because I think under Jim's, the way he's done his business, and I think a lot of GMs do, if they get to a certain point, and generally, and not at the deadline, I'm talking about a few weeks out, they go, we believe in this group, and they don't make those moves. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I believe that they'll probably go out and get a defenseman sort of like Chris Tanev. And I think it could be earlier than, the trade deadline. It could be a January move. I know with Tyler Seguin possibly going on the LTIR, that's a possibility. It opens up a lot of cap space for them. So I don't know if look, they're not going to play a different style of hockey. Pete DeBoer wants them to play this sort of smothering offensive game. And I think right now with some of the defensemen they have, like Dumba and Brendan Smith, don't necessarily fit perfectly within that system. And if they could go out and get a defenseman that can really thrive, possibly in a top 4 role, or just a depth piece, because you can never have, too many depth guys on the back end, that they could be a bit stronger defensively and really fit into this, Pete DeBoer system of, trying to win hockey games by track meets sometimes, and, scoring a lot. And you mentioned Colorado a bit about, can they outscore their problems a bit? I think Dallas did that a bit last season. They outscored some of their problems. And if they get stronger on the back end, and, I'm saying this with a team that's like top 5 in goals against average, they don't give up a ton, but I think we would agree a large part of that has been the goaltending. So I think they can make a couple of moves and maybe have some Vegas vibes going on here in Dallas now. And they should take advantage of it if they can.
Hey, Joey, I just want to quickly say, our general manager just walked in the room just now, and he's sitting down over here. You want to let him know where you got that microphone of yours? Because we would like to get one of these sent to Sean.
I think Sean has one.
He's coming on the show.
Oh, there he is, right here.
Not to be outdone. There's
What's that brand, Joey? What's that brand?
These are blue, the Yeti blue mics, man. You go to a pawn shop, get these babies for about $60. I'm telling you right now.
You hear that, Ben? We can do that.
I can take that right out of Lud's paycheck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's in. Out of his Christmas bonus. We get Christmas bonuses, right? He's like, yeah, what? Oh, he just walked away. So
going through a tunnel.
We were just talking about the Mackenzie Blackwood trade, which just happened, and Sam was so excited about it, he had to lead the show, break in. But it puts the Stars in a very interesting position, because they're one of their rivals that just barely is in a playoff spot right now, although don't expect them to stay down there.
Yeah.
Can't find a goalie to stop a puck. Well, now they have 2 other guys. I think Blackwood on his day is pretty good, and we all know Scott Wedgwood. But I think Dallas is in a much better position. Now, I would have been happy if they'd kept Wedgie. I really would have. And Sam talked about it in our last segment about the kind of guys. We've got a chance to cover him and, talk to him in the room personally. He's a great guy. He's really fun to chat with. He is not afraid to be entertaining, whereas most of the players are trying to get away from an interview as fast as they can. And he also is a pretty good goalie. And I think he has some miles left on his tread, because even though he's, pushing 30, he's been a backup more than he's been a starter. He hasn't really been a starter. What do you think it says when one of the big guys in your division is traded 2 goalies away in the first third of the season?
Maybe it's desperation at this point for Colorado. And you recall back to the first few weeks of the season after Georgiev had a couple of awful starts, and, Jared Bednar came out and said, like, this is our guy. He's going to figure it out. And they gave him a leash, and he couldn't figure it out. And I don't know how many Stanley Cup champions are winning with a netminder that has a save percentage below .870. That's a really, really tough ask. So it could be just a last move in desperation. Maybe Mackenzie Blackwood's the answer. I don't know. The Stars have seen him recently, and he's looked pretty good against Dallas when he's with the Sharks. So yeah, I don't know if he's the magic charm for them, but possibly with a better offense in front of him. Obviously, San Jose's a rebuilding team, so maybe with a better offense in front of them, Blackwood will be suitable. But they must be not leaving any stones unturned here to try to get the goaltending solved.
When's the last time Colorado had a legitimate number 1 goalie for
I think it was
a
Patrick
lengthy amount of
Waugh.
time?
Yeah.
Was it actually though? I was just thinking of it. I'm trying to think of who
guy that can steal you a series, steal you a game, Patrick.
For at least 3 or 4 years, not just a guy who was good for 1 season.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
they've been searching for that guy,
and yet they've won a Stanley Cup, and they've been one of the better teams in the NHL because of that front end.
And you saw Edmonton last year. Like maybe you guys think differently. I don't think Stuart Skinner is a top tier goaltender. I think he's very good, and he's an NHLer, and I don't want to be disrespectful for him, but I don't. But I don't think he's in the realm of a Hellebuck, an Ottinger, a Shesterkin, Vasilevsky. I can go on. And Edmonton was so good because of their top-end skaters, McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, that they were able to get to within 1 win of a Stanley Cup. And Skinner was good. He had a good run. But you don't need that, but if you have it, boy, that changes everything.
Well, I think the phrase or the term that we used to use, where offense wins games and defense wins championships, it's changed. It's changed because of the rules. It's changed because of how good the players are. And Colorado, Joey, proved it. I mean, the cup that they won, They outscored their mistakes. I mean, not just in the Cup, but during the regular season.
Yeah, and I think you look at that series too, that the Stars played in the bubble against Colorado. I mean, the Avalanche took them to Game 7. They had, 3 or 4 goaltenders they used. I think they were on their third string backup at the time, and they still took Dallas to the brink because of that offensive talent. And maybe that's a question I should pose to you guys, because I've been thinking about this recently with Robertson having a bit of a slow start. And we praise Dallas and all the depth and all the scoring ability they do have. But when it comes time to it, when you're in the Western Conference Final, does Dallas not have someone to almost lean on like the Colorados do? They can lean on McKinnon and Makar to make stuff happen. And Edmonton, obviously, they have McDavid. They can lean on him. Does Dallas have that guy that they can just lean on to make something happen or get that goal in order to get over the hump, right? Of course, they have so much depth and they have all the different weapons they can utilize, but sometimes you just need that one guy to make the difference. And it's like, do they really have it? Do they have the guy that can, carry the weight of the load on their shoulders and get him past?
Hold that thought for 1 second, guys. If you're watching on our fast channels, thanks for joining us. We will continue on our YouTube broadcast and, of course, on the audio stream right now. But thanks for joining us on the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Okay, to answer Joey's question, and I've heard this discussed by our friends Daryl Ray and Bob Sturm on Razor's podcast, the Podman Rush.
I have my man. What are you going to say?
Sturm said, I'm not sure if the Stars have any top 20 or at least top 10 players. Do you have a Dallas Star player that's right now that's in the McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Kucherov level that, as Joey's just talking about, that can you win you a game? Mike Modano would win you a game in the playoffs.
And he's real close to Mike Modano.
Who?
And I'm talking about winning a round. I'm talking about lighting it up at the right time of the year, getting on that roll and driving the team. For me, it's Roope Hintz. That's who I think. I think he pushes people back when he's on his game. We're seeing it right now. It's closer to what we've seen. His thing is he's got to stay healthy, right? There's always been these little blips where it's a game. I know in the bubble, I think he came out for a game or two at Game 7, was it?
Well, in the bubble, he got knocked out for Game 7. And I remember they were out.
Yeah.
Hintz, Como, a couple of bad injuries.
My opinion is that's the guy because he can do – his speed can open things up. It'll open things up for Robo. And if we're talking about a guy, a line, if we can see, the magic that's been going on with the Duchesne line, if that happens. But if it's a guy, that's the guy for me right now. Today, I'm sitting here. The first guy that comes to my mind is him, Sam.
Yeah, I agree. I want to say Wyatt Johnston, but not yet. That's my partial answer. I think maybe 2 years, Wyatt Johnston can be that guy because he can do so much. We saw him put on a one-man show shorthanded last night. I don't think he's necessarily there yet where he's on that level, but he's getting there. But I think Luds is exactly right. If there's someone who can just completely say, I'm going to take over this game, this series, it's Roope Hintz, and we've seen him do it before.
And it would be Roope that's opening up space for Wyatt. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like he can get defenders where they go, we need more than one guy helping with the speed coming through here. And if he's willing to go to the front of the net like he's doing in drive, he naturally pulls two people there. Where I think guys like that you're talking about, and that opens it up for Robo, that opens up for Wyatt, whoever else are playing.
And there's nobody that can keep up with Roope Hintz when he's on his top of his game and top of his speed.
The thing for me is it should be Miro because Miro is the best player at his position on the Dallas Stars, I believe. Maybe the other one would be Oettinger because if Jake is rising and he's playing great right now, he wants to be considered the best goalie on the planet. He could get to that. I don't know if he's there yet. And we haven't seen it except for that series against Calgary a couple years ago where he was phenomenal, but it was only for one round. So I think the Stars aren't built that way generally to be led by a top-heavy group. They're built to win the aggregate, right? The war of attrition. We have 4 lines. We have 3 D pairs. We can win that way. And we may not be able to keep up with McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen as much, or McDavid, Draisaitl, shift to shift. But over the course of a 60-minute game or of a 7-game series, we're going to wear you down. We're going to win all the battles that matter. Maybe. I mean, they were really close, Luds, to being the team that played the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final last year. Really close. They had a 2-goal lead in Edmonton in Game 4, and they were not playing well, but had 2 quick goals. If they find a way to win that, they're up 3-1. I don't think the Oilers come back in that, but they didn't. And so they're still chasing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a formula that's proven to win for the last few seasons too. The power play and special teams conversation, of course, is a bit of a different topic in the Western Conference Final. But yeah, I hope Robertson can. Hello, Steve. I hope Robertson continues to play like he did last night. I think a perfect representation of what he can become, or I should say his game needs to continue to improve on, was he didn't score on this play, but against Calgary last night. He went to the net. It was about halfway through the second period, and he drove the net, and he went right at Wolf, and he tried to jam a puck home. And obviously, Wolf made the save, but that's a perfect symbol of what you want to see out of Jason Robertson more. Go to the puddle. That's where you get greasy goals. So the majority of goals are. If he can continue to do that, add that to his game. And he looked like he had a little juice. And maybe Robo deserves a bit of grace for, coming off of surgery. I mean, just a few months ago, but you pay him to score goals, and that's what fans want to see him to do. So hopefully that will continue.
Yeah, I tried to make that argument, and Luddy has no patience for that.
But what's interesting about what Joey asked, though, is like on the flip side, the Stars weren't able to stop the Edmonton Oilers when they did do what Joey just said, which is have 2-3 guys take over the series. So the question becomes, I mean, it looks like the Stars, to get to a Stanley Cup final, will have to go through a team that is going to look like that, is going to be the top-heavy. I'm not saying Edmonton is only top-heavy, and Colorado maybe will get better throughout the lineup, but it'll be interesting to see how they do against that, because they are built, the Stars are built and will get better to win a Stanley Cup. But you have to do it when you get in that round against the guys when McDavid has 35 points.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Kaprizov is having that so far that season. He ran into Ryan Suter, and that was a problem before, but the Stars don't have Ryan Suter anymore, whether you like it or not. Winnipeg has the best goalie right now.
Yeah, I would argue that. I think Minnesota has the best goalie right now.
You think? You think Gustafsson is that good right now?
Right now.
More than Hellebuck?
Now, today. Yes. Right now, today.
So
you can throw them 2 into the hat for me.
Okay.
You say Kaprizov, and I mean, yeah, for sure. But that guy back there, 2 goals against after 25 games.
What's your top 3?
And I think that
goalies in the world right now.
Well, no, I would definitely go those 3 right there. I think I think that the order, you can go ahead at the end of the week and pick the order that you want. But I think, to me, Hellebuck has shown it more consistently. Jake is coming into his own, and Gustafsson has been around, but right now, I mean, he's put this together. So again, it can change in a month from now, but I think. And again, I go to Billy Guerin. And again, it starts there, but he's the guy that goes out and he assembles what he with one hand tied behind his back. So we'll see. Billy's got to be I mean, he can't wait for this Christmas, because this Christmas he's getting a great present. Come July.
Well, we could go on and on, but we're out of time. So Joey, we'll do this again. We appreciate you joining us. 2 things. One, I appreciate that you have the same wall decorations that Sam does, bare bones.
Love it.
And secondly, I believe that part of this whole deal is that Sam's going to be joining your show. So I can't wait to hear what you 2 collab come up with.
Yeah, I've been on there once or twice already. So
you have?
Yeah,
see, I haven't even paying attention.
Not yet. Yeah. Previously, before DLLS.
This season.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I had him on in the summer. We chopped it up about the off-season moves, but I look forward to catching up with Sam again. I appreciate you boys having me on.
Hey, Joey, just make sure Sam likes Herman Marshall. So if you want to get him going, it's Herman Marshall.